speaking of pots of gold, so 300 million is where you're at right now. What do you see as the next thing to get, Ramsey Solutions to 600 million? Like you were saying earlier, like what's the path forward there? Like what do you see as the strategic opportunity? What are you investing in right now?
Well, we're seeing an explosion with our EveryDollar app. For one thing, it's with minimal effort, honestly, has caught fire. So we're going to pour a little more gas on that while we're at it. We're going to put some effort into it since it's working. And we do think that Financial Peace University is going to stair step again. We've got to find that methodology for delivering those age-old principles in a new way. We are platform and delivery agnostic. Mm-hmm. I don't care how we get it to you, but we got to get it to you. And it's not, and efficiently with the least friction possible, so people actually do the stuff. And so that's there. Some things are logistically have in the last say 20 of the 30 years they didn't shrink, they grew, but they don't have the logistical ability to grow revenue wise as much. And an example of that would be live events. Mm-hmm. There's only so much of that you can do. And it doesn't hockey stick,
right?
Because you have a bottleneck of actual bodies on a stage, and bodies to set the stage up, and that kind of stuff, and number of cities you can actually draw a crowd in, and that kind of thing. So the only way you could hockey stick that thing would be to run the prices where they were just not for the average guy, and our whole thing we do is for the average guy. So so that's gonna if it stays the same or grows at 5% and something else grew at 50%, it's gonna get to be a smaller and smaller piece of the pie, right, mathematically. Yeah. But still not be something we're ashamed of. We love live events, and we're one of the biggest event companies in America. We do great live events, but it's gonna end up that one's not probably going to be the answer, unless now streaming could. It would have to monetize for the first time, mm-hmm. but they suck on monetization. But it's good at getting information out there. So we don't see hardcover books as being something that's going to hockey stick in the coming years. But I do think they're going to continue to be a valid part of the mix. So it's probably more digital application and delivery because it's the easiest to scale and lowest cost of goods. And it more easily iterates than anything analog. And the rate of change has exponentially increased in 30 years. Mm-hmm. What used to would take us 5 years to see unfold in the marketplace is unfolding in 5 or 10 weeks right now. Yeah. And how fast entire social media platforms become irrelevant mm-hmm. is kind of amazing. And so, betting the whole thing on one delivery mechanism, dumb. And so, in my mind anyway, but yeah, so I think whatever it is going to, like an app, like a budgeting app, mm-hmm. or a delivery digitally of FPU, or a delivery digitally of our Entree Leadership, which is our small business teaching and mm-hmm. coaching. You only have so many physical coaches for mm-hmm. small business guys, right. And that's got a limiting factor. Do I want 3,000 of those people in a building? Right. No, I really don't. Yeah. I'd a lot rather figure out another way to help you folk out there, and mm-hmm. that is not as manpower hungry.
So when you said the EveryDollar app just kind of like took off, is that like a micro example of how product iteration works for you? Is like, let's throw something together, let's see how it works, and then if it starts taking off disproportionately to like the effort, you say, okay, now we're going to invest more resources in it?
Yeah, we put a huge amount of effort into building it and launching the initial. Yeah. It was a major initiative and a push, and then it kind of, it's had a good growth rate, but it really wasn't. But something shifted in the marketplace, I mean, literally in the last 4 or 5 months. Okay. And the way the consumer is viscerally responding to the word budget mm-hmm. Differently than they were certainly 10 years ago, but probably even 10 months ago. And so when we develop things, so we're going to, we've always iterated it. We've always updated it. We've always made it better every time and all that kind of stuff. But there just seems to be some attention that we didn't cause. So why not join the parade?
Yeah, right. I think probably some of that's the macroeconomic environment has changed a little bit in the last, in that period of time. People are probably feeling the need for a budget.
And it might be that, I mean, I think the product, the original launch on it was, it's probably coming up on 10 years, so
okay.
In the, the number of people that are walking around, adults that have never lived in a world that wasn't a smartphone world, is much larger than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so the marketplace has shifted in that regard. But the iPhone, the whatever smartphone is native to a much larger percentage of the population than it was when it was launched. So we may just be seeing that demographic shift, and that
they're aging into it.
Yeah, because that age group. I mean, if you're 28, you wouldn't ever think of doing a budget on paper. Right. It would not occur to you that could, no more than you would handwrite a letter in cursive. I mean, it's just absurd. So, but when I started all this, neither one of those was that unusual.
Right. So, speaking of the app in particular as an increasingly large part of the pie, how does it measure compared to the other pieces? Like just by percentage, you've got the events, you've got the education, you've got entre leadership, you've got the app, you've got the live events. Like how do those divide up in terms of like size for Ramsey Solutions?
The Ramsey trusted items, which includes national advertisers and the whole Smart Vista Pros, all the people we endorse for investing, all the real estate agents, all those. There's about 8,000, 9,000 different people that we endorse in different areas. Tax, all that tax and real estate and investing through Ramsey Trusted. And then you've got a singular national advertiser like a Churchill Mortgage for mortgages, that kind of thing. All that falls under Ramsey Trusted. So that's a lot under there. But the national associations plus the strategic alliances, we call them, the what used to be called the ELP program, probably amounts to 40% of the revenue.
Really?
And so not putting on, back to our earlier conversation, not putting on one that's bad is a big deal there, because you're going to mess up the whole thing. You're going to mess up the empire with that singular bad pot of gold. And so we have to, to be a real estate agent in Ramsey Trusted, we're really going to do the stuff we tell you to do, or we're really not going to let you in there. I mean, it's a big deal, and so, because we love you and we love our customers and we want everybody to have a little love fest. We don't need anybody pissed off. So you're really going to do this stuff. So that's probably, I think it's probably sitting at about 40% of the revs right now. But that's half that AdGum building, too, in terms of the 1,100 people that work here. Entree leadership is probably 15%, something like that. Financial Peace University is probably 15%. Every dollar's 10% maybe or less. It's less than 10%. But they just kind of fall out like that. Publishing and live events together, not that huge revenue, but again, they're almost
they're like middle of funnel almost.
Yeah, they're almost lead gathering things. So I'm trying to think what else falling in that P&L, but something like that.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah, that's big rocks.
How do you think about reallocating or reinvesting capital within the business versus taking it out of the business as an owner?
Well, we don't randomly. If we have something I can get more ROI here on something that we have a high belief in than I could anywhere else. I mean, certainly on mutual funds or real estate.
Right.
I mean, I love mutual funds and real estate, but I mean, I can get 1,000% ROI on launching a product.
Yeah.
And I can't even approach that on this other stuff. So I would rather deploy the capital here, but I don't need to deploy it stupidly. So when in doubt, we take it home. And
when in doubt, take it out.
That's it. And plug it into plug it into generosity and plug it into some more real estate or mutual funds.